a 3-handle shower. I think it's a Pfister. And the metal knob here is severely loose. This is a 3-knob shower handle. Tighten the knob. Almost about ready to come off. Keep off the drain because I don't want to go fishing for parts. And then in addition to that, I have a little rag that I place over the drain. So what we're going to do, we have a little flathead. This is a 1/8 screwdriver. This is going to take off the cap. This is going to tighten it, the Phillips, and then of course our blue Loctite. And then in addition to that, this little rag, I also am going to use a little bit of vinegar for cleanup. Take off this center cap here. You can either pull it off with your fingernail or of course the little screwdriver, and try not to scratch the finish. So yeah, it's just coming off real easy. And I pull this aside, and then right inside there's a Phillips, and that's where we'll use our Phillips to take it completely out. Really loose, so we're just unscrewing it here, and then I always of course use 2 hands to hold the handle so it doesn't fall and break. And then it's got a cover piece. This just pulls right off, and basically that was loose. So if I was ever going to replace this and it leaked, this is how I'd take it off. But we don't need to. I'm going to use a little bit of vinegar and clean this up here. Soaked vinegar, and I'm going to wipe that down, clean it up, and then clean the little screw up, clean all these little pieces up here. So I'm just going to wipe it down with vinegar, because you can see, and then of course wipe down the little screw and clean that up. But I'm just using vinegar. Buy this by the gallon. I've just unscrewed this. Take this off, and then that's the little gasket. Pull that out, and then I just clean that with vinegar and clean up this with vinegar. You can reseal that. The gasket I'm going to clean up here, you can reseal that with caulking. For this I'm not going to, but I'm just going to clean it up with vinegar. Here's our little pieces that I cleaned up with vinegar and a rag or a piece of paper towel. There's our little gasket, our screw, the knob. And so we're going to put on the cover, on the slip cover first, before we put the Loctite on the little screw. We have the short end, a little tiny gasket, the cover plate, and then this other gasket. It slips over like that. You could put a little bit of silicone there. I'm not. This is our setup, and then it just screws on like this. And don't cross thread it. If it doesn't go on easy, then you've cross threaded it. And I'm going to put it snug because I don't want to bend that plate. I want to have it tight, but it's snug. I can still sort of turn that. So if I push this in too much, it's going to bend this plate. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's snug. I can still move this, but I don't want to bend it. I'll clean that out. And it's keyed, or it's geared, so the little teeth fit inside there, and it just locks in. It can be moved, but just kind of locks in. And then I'll prepare the little screw with a little Loctite. Blue thread locker. I coated this with several drops. I coated it really well. I do have orange and red. Red is really hard to install. Orange is like medium to heavy strength. We're going to just use the medium strength here, blue. So I coated it fairly well, and then I may coat it again with a couple of drops before I screw it back in with the handle. Put it on the end of your screwdriver first, and then screw it in. I don't know if that makes sense, but put it on the end of the screwdriver and then screw it in because it's in there quite a little ways. And I want to tighten this snug. And when you tighten it, hold on to the knob because you don't want to be tightening against that stop. So hold on the knob and then hold on the screwdriver a little bit, because when I'm tightening it, I don't want to tighten against the stop of the faucet, if that makes sense. So I've opened it a little bit, and then I'm putting one hand, and then on the other hand I'm going to tighten it. And this is the little cover. You could put a tiny bit of WD-40 on that O-ring. Also look at the O-ring and make sure it's in good condition. Looks pretty good to me. And then you just press it on. Just press it on. And then of course I'm going to test it. Actually take out my little drip rag on the tub. It cleans up with a little bit of vinegar. This is my little vinegar. So I got a little blue there and it cleans up just well, and then you can just throw that away. Okay, now test it. This is the center for the shower. Turn it off. Seems to be fine. We didn't replace the faucet with the cartridge. So I'm just going to turn on a little bit and hot and cold. And this is no longer loose, as you can see. Showers are hard to come off if they're not finger tight. You're going to need a strap wrench. And basically, you move it so there's tension. So when I'm pulling, it's pulling tight on the strap. And then it just comes off. Don't use pliers. Pliers is going to mar that up and make a mess. But use a strap wrench. And just work it off. So if this is hard to come off, then use a strap wrench, because if you don't, if you use pliers, it's going to mess it all up and mar it all up. On the threads, we're going to coat the threads a little bit with anti-seize so it doesn't stick. I'm going to put anti-seize on those threads. Since the threads are hard to get to back there, we're going to coat the first maybe 1/4 inch of this here, again with anti-seize. The inside, and then smeared it around with the paper towel so there's a light covering of anti-seize inside those grooves, inside the threads. Then I'm going to thread it back on. Little gasket, the short side, the base cover, and then the little gasket. So I'm just going to screw this on. And if it doesn't go on easy, then you've cross-threaded it. So I have a little bit like this, and then just guide it in the hole. And then just screw it down. And then go ahead and test. So this is tight. That's tight-ish. It's tight. And I'm just going to